All right, well, welcome to the Driven Agenda podcast. I have my good friend here, Rich Miranda,
In the house with your spouse.
a.k.a. Babalu Bad Boy,
Yeah.
a.k.a. Richie Rich,
Absolutely.
a.k.a. What other a.k.a.s are we?
Twice as nice. The dashing man. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, from YO107.1. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. It's good to see you, my friend.
You
So
too.
the first time Rich and I met, I saw an advertisement online for the radio station 107.1, which I love. I listen to it every single morning
Thank you.
when I'm taking my kids to school. Oh, he always comes up with fresh mixes, so every now and then one catches my eye or my ear, and then I reach out to him. But anyway, they're looking for an advertiser for this old school R&B hip hop radio station. I send an email out. That's how we met. We met at a Starbucks.
Correct.
Just started talking. We had your daughter in common because she's doing kickboxing and
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai,
Both.
and all her friends are my friends. And she was wearing some of the shorts that I had from my old company. And so I was the first advertiser on 107.1.
Number one.
And then
First
you and I just have become good friends since. We talk about business. We talk about personal stuff.
Correct.
You have done my parties for my office. You've done my wedding.
DJing.
Yes. So
Beautiful wedding, by the way.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Very
it was,
nice.
It was perfect day and perfect weather, and,
Yeah.
and couldn't have asked for more. So we started as business friends, but I feel like we've become good friends over the many years now. And so I'm very happy to have you on here because
Thank you.
you've got an interesting lifestyle, one that I've never seen out of any of my friends. You've got an amazing history
Thank you.
and famous, and you've met all these people. So I really want to get into it. And who knows, maybe there's some aspiring DJs as well who might learn something from you and
Thank you.
may want to take up the career. So can you give me a brief background of what you do?
Well, I'm a DJ, meaning I've started just DJing on turntables only. That was it, just playing music. It festered from the 80s where I have a twin brother. His name is Ray. I'm Rich and Ray. And we would break dance. And then from break dancing, we acquired music. And from the music, we started playing the music at people's houses. And then we just started developing the DJ skills. Then from there, a radio station was born in Orlando, Florida.
Is that where you were growing up?
That's where I was
Back then?
growing up. I
Okay.
was born in New York, but I grew up in Florida. I'm a Floridian. And but in Orlando, that's when the station was bought, and they flipped to, and they played Jam On It. Jam on it. Jam on it.
I have that in my phone.
Jam on it. Anyways, so they were playing that type of music, urban, hip hop. Back then, it wasn't called hip hop, but and we are like, that's the exact type of music that we're playing. So we invited them to a club that we were DJing, and they hired us, and then we just started doing mixing and started doing things at the radio station.
What was this? Which station was it?
102 Jams in Orlando.
Oh, okay. Is that still around? It was around when I was
still
there.
around. It's still
Okay.
around. And yeah, and
How long were you there?
I was there for about almost 10 years.
Okay.
8 years, between 8 and 10. And then from there, we left 102 Jams and got a job offer at Power 96 in Miami, because 102 Jams and Power 96 in Miami, in Orlando and Miami, were owned by the same company.
Okay.
They actually bought the signal in Orlando and changed it.
Yep.
Changed format. So we knew I had a lot of relations at Power, and then we ended up getting a job at Power. So we moved to Miami, and then forget it, man. We're in the top 10 market.
What was the reason for the switch, though?
Well,
You
the
wanted
switch
to move
was-
or more money, or
No, the reason for the switch was our illustrious leader, Bill Clinton, at the time, signed a deregulation bill that deregulated broadcasting. It was meant for TV, but it also crossed over to radio. And that's when all the conglomerates were born. Clear Channel, iHeart, all the major corporations started gobbling up radio stations in 1996. That's when the law was passed. And then after that, all these started gobbling up. And in the process, we were competing against one radio station would compete against all the stations. Now, they gobbled up 5 radio stations, all of our competitions, and they put them all into one building, consolidated, and started letting people go. And then they were just like, you guys are great, but you're not competing against them anymore. And I'm like, yes, we are. We're a different station. We're competing. No, I want you to do this. I want you to change your entire show to do this. Now, we were young and we didn't understand the business side of it. So I'm looking at my boss and I'm like, we're number one in the market. Why would you want to change anything if we have the number one show? Because it's not about the ratings. It's not about being number one. It's about getting advertisers in. So I need you to be a little more this way and stop playing this type of music. I'm like, but this type of music is
What's
popular.
causing you to be number one?
Yeah. No, but we're going to change. And I didn't want to change directions. We were being very hard-headed. And to be quite honest, I had a little bit of an ego. It was my first time in radio, first time being city worldwide popular. And I was in my early 20s. We started working at 19 years old in the radio. Mm-hmm. And so a little bit of that ego, a little bit of pride got the best of me. So we had disagreements with the management and we broke apart.
But you go to Power 96, which to me, I don't listen to any of that radio anymore.
Right.
Like I said, my only station in my car is yours because I like that era and that style of music.
Correct.
But I remember back in the day at Power 96, I remember going to the beach on the weekends. I remember at night the mixes. Mm-hmm. I think that was the hottest radio station back in, what would you say, like mid-90s, late 90s?
Yeah,
I mean,
all throughout the 90s.
That was an absolutely amazing
the
station.
The nightclubs, the concerts, the powerhouse shows, and the festivals. And we used to give away tickets to we rent out a huge beach house on the sand. And give away tickets on the radio to come and just hang with the jocks and hang with the mixers on the beach with stars, at that time, like Trenier and Johnny O and Raw Bass and whoever else it was. Or in the 90s, it was Puffy and Biggie and Pac and whatever who was out there at that time. And hang out at the beach house with us. And we would do things like that. It was amazing time. And, but yeah, and then from Power... we had a huge blowout with the program director. And it was terrible, man. This guy was, it was just a big nightmare. I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but it was a big blowout. And because of that, he hired another jock to come in to do our show, pushed us to a later show, and told us, oh, you have to change your name. Yeah, Babalu Bad Boys, we're going to take that off the radio. And I went to his boss, the general manager, above everyone. So look, man, we've been down here in Power for 5 years, branding our name, and he's like, that's crazy. He wants you to take off your name. That's ridiculous. Because he was thinking, the general manager was thinking dollars and cents.
Right.
We branded you. You guys are pulling in money to the station. Your name is bringing money. You guys do remotes. You guys do clubs, and all of them are paying. Why would he? So he went into his office. He came out. And the program director was like, yeah, forget everything I said. Just, stick the way you are. But at that moment, I knew we went over his head. We challenged his authority.
Now your head's on the chopping block eventually.
Our days are numbered here.
Yeah. And
so we reached out to a new station that just opened up here, CBS, Viacom, that owns Nickelodeon and all that. That company bought a signal here and turned it into a rhythmic station is what they call that. And we called, and they were like, yeah, you're one of the Babalu Bad Boys from Power 96? Yeah. And is your contract up? Yeah, our contract's going to be up in a month. And it doesn't look like they're going to resign us. And he's like, you definitely need to come up here. And that's how we got up here.
It was X1023.
X1023.
X1023, yeah.
And then from X1023, we did, 8 years in Orlando, 5 years in Miami, 10 years here in West Palm, and we're still going. So now we left CBS, and now we're at YO107.1.
Best station on the planet.
Thank you.
Babalu Bad Boys, tell me briefly, how does that name come up?
All right. We started thinking of names, and we wanted to go with something general. So in Orlando, we went by Twice as Nice. We thought that was pretty even, doesn't show, easy to market. Then when we left Orlando and came to Miami, we told the program director, we're twice as nice. He goes, nah, you're going to have to change that. And we're like, why? And then he showed us a picture of a group called Twice as Nice. And they do freestyle music at the time. And there's something else. There was 2 or 3 things that were twice as nice. And they're like, nah, you just got to change it. Now, when we were on 102 Jams in Orlando, I would say, it's DJ's Twice as Nice. Yeah, we're the Babalus on 102. Because it rhymed. And the reason why we came up with Babalu was because of my mother. My mother's favorite show was I Love Lucy. And since we're Cuban by descent, Babalu on the drums, Desi Arnaz, Ricky Ricardo, would be Babalu. And then he's Cuban, and I'm Cuban, and I was like, I like Babalu, Babalu. So we was like Babalus on 102. And so we're looking at, in Miami, change your name. And I was like, well, we also go by the Babalu, I guess the Babalu Bad Boys. And he was like, oh, that sounds worse. I don't even like that name either. So, and then our number, I don't know, it was a twist of fate. The number 1 jock, his name was Joe Nasty. He walks by the office, walks in to say hi to us because we were just getting hired at the time. And he goes, and my program director goes, hey, Joe. And he walks in, what's up? These are Rich and Ray, the twins. What do you think about the name Babalu Bad Boys? And he looked at me. He looked at my brother. He looked at the program director and goes, Babalu! And just walked right out of the office. So my program director goes, whatever, just stick with the name and do whatever you got to do with it. I don't care. All right, get out of my office. And that's how we came. That was it. So then we were like, is this cool or not? And then we're like, yeah, we got Babalu Bad Girls. We started marketing that. The sales team were like, we're going to make calendars and do contests, hot body contests, and do a Babalu Bad Girl this, or Babalu Bad Girl this, or Babalu Bad Boys. We could do merchandise and everything.
Trying to think of how to brand it.
Yeah, and then that's it. The sales team went just crazy over that. So I was like, oh, let's stick with it. So that's
it caught on.
And
the lawyer in me asks, did you ever trademark that?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I need to do that.
I don't know who's going to take that.
That's why I'm here.
You have such a history with
But Babalu, I didn't copyright it. I haven't done none of that stuff.
I love how you it's hard to explain it, but you have this deep robot or sounding voice every now and then on your mixes.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
exactly the songs where that plays actually, where you have it set.
I love the breaks.
You gotta hear it. It just goes Babalu. I don't know.
Babalu. That's really my voice. I just said Babalu.
I know, but it's like deep.
I pitched it down as a Babalu.
It's perfect. He has it flowing right in the middle of like 2 songs that are.
And then I put an echo on it.
Yes.
Babalu.
It's
Babalu.
cool. All you old schoolers would know exactly what I'm talking about. So, talking about these stations you were on, not counting 107.1, but
right.
Let's talk about back in the day when you're in the heat of things as far as the music is popping. It's the trend, the celebrities. Which one of those stations do you think?
It's got to be hands down Power 96.
Yeah,
sure.
I would think so too.
Yeah, because it goes by markets. Markets are determined by population. So if you look at the top 50 markets when it comes to radio in America, number 1 is New York.
Right.
Number 2 is LA. Simple. Right? And then it goes from there, population. West Palm Beach is right around 46, somewhere in that area, depending on the market size. Miami is in the top 10. It's like 9.
Yeah.
8 or 9, depending on the census that comes out. So being in the top 10 market is amazing. You get so much everything, yeah. Where the clubs, the concerts, all the things that we
not only the
earlier.
money and the benefits from the business, but then there's the side stuff of everyone knows you and they want to be around you and they're offering stuff and you're getting in.
Like if you're in Topeka, Kansas, Nelly is not going to go there for free and have fun with you. No. But he will come to Miami and party with you in the VIP all night long.
So let's talk about that. Is there a time back in the day where you hung out with one of these famous hip hop stars that was just absolutely memorable to you? Like one of your favorite times?
One of my favorite times was Curtis Jackson. You know who that is?
Oh, that's really old school.
No, 50 Cent.
Oh,
His name is Curtis Jackson.
My buddy Vinny Cuomo is going to kill me because that's what he called when he goes to his concerts. That's what he says to him when he's up front.
Curtis?
Yeah.
Yeah, Curtis Jackson.
Oh, you're right.
We did an interview with 50 when he was coming out, and he was with Vivica Fox at the time. And, man, he was so cool, man. I mean, he was one of the cool, him and Common. But I'm singling out 50 because we're on the radio. We're like this. We're talking live on the radio, live. And I'm like, hey, man, I heard you with Vivica. What's up with that actress, man? She's hot. She's this. He's like, yeah, she's cool. But, yeah, I mean, we're not working out. Things aren't good. And I'm like, come on, man. Seriously? Yeah, things happen, man. I was like, you lying. No, I'm telling the truth. So I hit the phone. Boom. And the dial tone comes up. Give me your number. Let's call her right now. Let's find out. He goes, all right. 718-333-41. I'm like, wait, man. You can't put her cell phone on the radio, man. Everybody in the nation is going to call her, man. Everybody who's listening. I don't care. Whatever. And then he's like, yeah, man. And we got in his booth, and he was just real humble, very personable. He talked about all kinds of things in his life. He didn't care. And then the label guy was like, all right, man, we got to leave here. We got to go to the next radio station. He's like, you know something? I like these twins, man. I'm going to stay a little longer. Plus, we had a TV in there, and he was going to be on like the Soul Train Awards or something was going on. So I want to stay here and watch that and hang out with these guys. Cancel our next meeting and order some food. I mean, he was that cool. Super cool.
He seems like, I follow him on social media, and, he's not old school, but he's been around for a couple decades, but he seems to still be super relevant.
Very cool
in the
guy.
World. He seems to be cool to everybody on all kinds of sides and fronts. He seems to be a likable guy.
Super.
And a smart hustler.
And unfortunately, the guy that got him in the business was the worst interview I've ever had.
Who? Eminem?
Yeah.
Interesting. Tell me about that.
He was the worst, man. He was terrible, man. This guy walked
up. No presence or?
He walked into the radio station and with his hoodie, and just and sat there.
I feel like when he's not rapping or out, he just sits home all day.
Nothing.
And writes.
Nothing.
I kind of get the impression that he just...
So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I give always people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's having a bad day. Maybe he found out his mom got some medical problem. Maybe he's just an introvert. Because it seems that way. Just
right.
Like you said, stay home writing lyrics.
Yeah.
Not really an outgoing dude. But he got into the business. He got into the public eye. He knew what he was getting into.
You gotta figure it out.
So,
I'm a extroverted introvert. So I have to extroverted introvert, which means naturally I'm an introvert.
Right.
But being in my business, I know I have to get out, meet people, I have to network, market. But then once I do that every night I come home and I'm super tired. I need to recharge.
Sounds like the
but I
average guy to me.
Yeah.
So I'm giving him, because I'm still a super fan of Eminem because I love lyrics. I love like listening to every word in a song, not just the hook. You're down with OPP and you don't even know what the song is talking about. I love lyrics. So I put Eminem like almost in the top 3 or 5 when it comes to lyrical rappers. Not popular rappers. I obviously Biggie and Pac and all these popular, but I meant lyrically. He's a genius. He's an amazing. Yep. So I was a little like thrown back. So I was like, a little bit like, starstruck. So I really, really, but he's not responding. He's not doing anything. So I'm like, okay, maybe he's having a bad day. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. So I go, all right, we're here on whatever station. I think it was Power 96 at the time. We got Eminem in the studio. If you guys want to call up 1-800, whatever the number is, and talk to Eminem, how does it feel to come from where you were at in Detroit to where you're at now? He's like, it's good.
He's making me work for my money.
Yeah, man, big time. And then I put callers on the phone. He's like, I don't want to talk to anybody on the phone. I don't want to talk to anybody.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't want to talk. He didn't talk to anybody. I was like, okay, all right, whatever. He was just being really rude and really being
crazy, huh?
So I didn't want to say anything. Even at that point, I was like, all right, you're cool. You know,
Yeah.
that's all right. Yeah, look, I don't want to force you to do anything. If you're having a bad day, having a bad day. No big deal. So then at the end of the interview, I was like, you know, you mean, you know, maybe we should, you know, do a little more with the people, man, because the people that are buying your records, you know, we're on radio. We're on a big radio station. He's like, I don't need radio, man. I don't need you guys. He said that, and I was just like, dude, we're trying to help
When was
you.
this?
This was this is when he first came out. He already had he first came out with his first album, Slim Shady, and it went like triple platinum.
Of course.
It was huge. So I guess he thought he didn't need any. I don't know what was going on in his brain. And I don't need radio. And I was like, dude. And then,
Radio's what got you where
I'm
you
like,
are.
dude.
That's the only way.
If your label was here listening to that, they would slap you in the face, dude. You're killing them. So the people that are backing you. But anyway, even at that point, I was whatever. So then at the end of the interview, and I'm just he's trying to get out of there as fast as he can, and I'm go, all right, is there any way we could take a picture and do a drop? A drop is, hi, this is Eminem.
Of course.
I'm chilling with the Babalu Bad
Yeah,
Boys
yeah.
on whatever. He goes, nah, I ain't doing no pictures and I ain't doing no drops. And he was about to leave. And finally, can we? I don't want to curse, but I just said,
curse.
bro, yeah?
Yeah.
I go, bro, I don't understand what kind of day you're having, but you're a total asshole, dude. And you one day you're gonna get your ass whipped. And he turned around, and I was like, oh, you want it today? And then all of a sudden the bodyguard stood up, and I was like, okay, it's not gonna be today. It's not gonna be today. yeah, because this guy was a mountain. There's just no way. And so I was like, it's not gonna be today. But damn, dude, you're a fucking asshole, dude. And if you come back here anytime in the next millennium, that's way too soon for me. You go ahead, get the fuck up out of here. Yeah. I had to talk to him like that. And he was like, fuck you too. And I'm fuck you. Yeah.
Was any of that on air?
No, this was completely, everything was shut down at the very end. All right.
And was your brother there too?
Of course.
So
Yeah.
he's probably trying to help out too.
Yeah, he was just trying to but
I mean, he was probably trying to do what you were, to get him to talk and everything.
do
and
something
then
like-
finally you just said screw
Yeah,
it.
we just, all right, then Eminem's got to go. He's got shows to do. Thank you so much, everybody, for blah, 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 blah. And thank you, Eminem, for coming by. Yeah. And then, the very eloquent, well-spoken Eminem, thank you. Have a nice day. Power 96 will be back with more. Boom. And then after that, that's when I was like, look, we're off the radio. Is there any way I can get a pick? And
Well, it
get a
makes
drop.
you look bad too, because people
Yeah.
could probably, you're like, this interview sucks.
yeah,
It's
when it comes to
boring.
radio,
Yeah, everyone's got to be
it's
cheery.
super important because there's no
Interesting.
visual.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could like reach out to him and just be like, "Do you remember that? And were you going through something or what?"
He was probably high on something, man.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, well, back in the day, definitely.
Probably was on something. Who
Interesting.
knows?
Yeah.
But,
still, though,
that's the way
that's
it
what you
goes.
signed up for.
I thank you.
So let me ask you, your favorite top 3 rappers of all time.
Probably Eminem is one, Rakim is another, KRS one when it comes to rapping and lyrics. But when it comes to like popularity rapping and who like the famous ones, I would probably say, because I would put Big Punisher also in the lyrical one. But Biggie, Pac, Jay-Z, those guys would definitely be the popular ones.
I've always had this theory that if Tupac and Biggie did not die, Jay-Z would not have become as big as he was. Because I don't feel he was. I thought he was good, but I don't feel like he was number one back in the day.
there's a
And
lot
with
of
when
rumors
those two dudes died,
about that.
really he got brought up, but he was not on their level, and I don't think he's ever been on their level. But I do respect the business he's built and the fame and all that. But I just always said, now that these two dudes are gone, it's kind of.
But things like that happen in the world. A lot of people might contribute Elvis Presley in the same fashion, because I don't know if you remember, if you know any kind of history, or if you've seen the movie La Bamba with Richie Valens. He got on a plane with a bunch of the stars, the Big Bopper and all these huge stars that were way above Elvis. And they got on a plane in a snowstorm, and the plane crashed. All of those stars died. And it made room for Elvis to just skyrocket.
Ah,
I don't know if you ever knew that story.
No.
But yeah, same thing. There's a lot of rumors that Biggie and Pac, which is why you kept hearing a bunch of songs, both of them, after they died, a bunch of music came out that they had they recorded because they made deals, both of them basically. Made deals that you're under contract, under Puffy, you're under Suge Knight until you make 6 albums or something like that. You're a 6-album deal or a 5-album deal. You have to make 5 create. So he went in the studio and knocked out all 5, both of them, knocked out their albums as quickly as possible. So they had so many archived songs, which is why they kept coming out.
Yep.
To get out of their contracts so they could start their own.
Mm-hmm.
And Suge and Puff might have taken it as, now I got to compete against my number one artist. I'm not going to be able to beat this guy. So that's why there's a lot of rumors circulating that, you know.
It is odd that you've got 2 guys murdered in plain sight and nobody's
held accountable.
Nobody's found anything on either of them.
Who knows?
I hope one day something gets found out, because those 2, you know, back in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, when it came to rap, I love Tupac, Biggie, Tribe Called Quest. There's about 10 of them maybe that just constantly listen to. And then I listened to a lot of alternative and some punk. But I really loved those guys. It brings back fond memories in college of listening to that stuff. And it's really a shame, even with all these artists like Sublime and Kurt Cobain, and I was just watching Stone Temple Pilots. Scott Weiland, such a weirdo, but he really was a performer. Mm-hmm. And you just wonder, like, what would these guys be like if they were still alive? Would they still be relevant? Would they be putting out good music? Awesome. But those were good times. So let me ask you this. But
then again,
you don't have. Go ahead.
A candle that burns twice as hot.
Yeah, that's true.
Burns out twice as fast. But
True,
what was the question?
You don't have to name names, but is there just one crazy ass rapper that did something crazy back in the day when you guys were doing your thing?
One of the craziest
something
things.
you haven't told many people, or
okay. He wasn't a rapper. He was a singer. Uh-huh. And he went by the name of Ricky Martin. All right? And we did an interview with this guy, and my brother was he was the director. And I was like in another room, basically kind of producing and doing it from the outside. And my brother's wife heard that Ricky Martin was coming. Now, this was before he came out of the closet, way before, in the early days, when he was young and good looking, and every freaking woman in the world wanted this guy, straight out of Menudo, the group Menudo he came out of. And my brother's wife was like, wow. She went up there to try and get his attention. She did the whole, shave and the spray tan and the hair and the highlights and all that. And she got really dolled up and went up there with the stilettos and the whole thing. It looked like she's tiptoeing through there. And Ricky just kept, doing the interview with my brother. And, of course, the label people were there like, no matter what happens, do not bring up his sexuality in this interview ever, or we will shut this down and we will leave. They made it very clear. So we knew, because everybody in the industry knew, but everybody in the general public didn't know.
Right.
So everybody was living La Vida Loca at the time. And he went up there, and the more my brother was talking to him, and his wife was like right over here, and she's trying to get his attention. He just kept focusing on my brother. And it's got to the point where it was a little uncomfortable. And I'm thinking, and I'm talking to my brother in only his headphone. Has he been staring at you a little longer than I think he should be staring at a normal man? And my brother was like, I don't know what's going on here. And yeah, man, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it was a little awkward situation.
What did the wife ever say anything or notice it?
She was pissed.
So she could tell too.
She was so pissed. Why is he paying attention to him more than me? And I got bustier DJing. I got everything. And he's looking at my husband. Well, my boyfriend at the time. They weren't even married yet. And my brother was just, he was trying to maintain. He kept trying to maintain it, man. He was very awkward. It was an awkward situation, man. And I can't single anything out because Ricky's a good guy. I love the guy, and he's great. But, yeah, back then we didn't know. And because we didn't know, it kind of caught us by surprise. And I'm like, I think he wants to take a warm shower with you.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, everyone knows and has known for a while. But if you don't know,
right,
and
it kind of catches you.
Yeah,
and back then was a different time, and today everything is good and it's acceptable. And I don't have a problem with it. I don't care, but back then it was in the 90s, and it was a little awkward.
Things were a little different. Other than hip hop and R&B, what other types of music do you listen to?
I'm big wide range: jazz, reggaeton, salsa, merengue, bachata.
Any country?
Yeah, I love country. Luke Bryan, one of my favorite artists.
Alternative music?
Zach Brown Brand. Alternative, I like Stain. I like, there's a couple of Godsmack. There's a few alternatives that I kind of like, yeah.
True music guy then. Just curious, because I've never asked you that. If it's just strictly,
I love that.
Strictly
There's a few
hip-hop.
things I don't listen to polka.
No, same here. I don't listen to polka either, but hey, everyone's got their thing, right?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about your business or businesses, because you're a DJ on a radio.
Yeah.
And you do huge events. So talk about that.
Radio broadcasting, as I started, then I progressed into DJing weddings, corporate events, quinces, you name it, birthday parties. The list goes on. And BabaluEvents.com is where you go. And I got everything from inflatables to water slides to mechanical rides and roller coasters to casino tables, face painters, balloon ties, all that goes into Babalu Events. And then, we go to corporate levels and get...
you've done some... I've seen your posts, some pretty high-level stuff for some pretty high
catering. We do it all. So whether it's a company that has 500 people going to one of the parks and rent out a pavilion, cooking and bounce houses and all zip lines and whatever else is there, to weddings on yachts off the intercoastals for NFL players and stars. And I remember, if we had a little time, I'd tell you about a bachelor party that A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, threw for he was the best man at a wedding in Miami, and I had to set up the entire bachelor party for it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man. Maybe we do that off the radio podcast here. But yeah, I've done a lot of privy things. So yeah, BabaluEvents.com. Pretty cool.
Now, you do your morning DJing on the radio station 107.1. You throw in 2 different half-hour mixes in there as well. How does that work as far as finding time to do that? Because it's an early morning show.
It is.
And then you go into your nightly gig, so to speak. How do you prepare for doing that?
A lot of times I'll try to either pre-record some of it if I can and play a pre-recorded mix where I would mix it and then I would plug it in, or I'll do it live. I like to do it live, but a lot of times if I'm DJing the night before, I won't be able to get up, and so I prepare for that. So I have the ability to plug in a mix that I've had before that I pre-mix and plug it in. But I love doing them live because I like taking requests.
Yeah.
So, but I have that ability, so that's how I'm able to maneuver a night gig and then getting up at 5 in the morning.
How does it work when you're creating a mix, the creativity part? Do you find yourself, I don't know, on a Friday night at home in the studio and you're just kind of kicking it? Are you throwing one of your events and then you're like, oh wait, I want to add that into
right. A lot of times it's just a lot of research and a lot of just being humble and listening. I listen a lot to other DJs, and a lot of times I get ideas from the way they mix up. They'll take because the art is BPM. That's the key. BPM stands for beats per minute, meaning there's a certain speed. So you got like Superman, you, Soldier Boy, oh, and then there's a difference to, hydraulics, scarred, hydraulics. One is faster, one is a little bit slower. and that speed is called the BPMs, the beats per minute. So what you do is you organize your songs, all of your songs, by beats per minute. So you know that you can mix this song with that song because they have the same beats per minute, or they're close enough so you can adjust it to turn. So what I do is I'll take, I would take a song like Bruno Mars. That's what I like. 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 A berry campaign on ice. And then you mix with boom, rock to the planet, rock. Don't stop. And that beat over that acapella, and you used to get creative with it, thinking of different ways and different mixes of putting songs together. And that's how, you get, creativity in mixing. So it doesn't get dull.
The experience just from you listening to those songs over and over, I'm sure it's just becomes natural, just like a professional athlete. Yeah.
My brother and I would walk down the street, and he'd be like, rock to the planet, rock. And I'm like, when I hear music, look.
That's so cool. You got that. Your brother and you are on the same exact wavelength because you're twins.
Push it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We was like, man, we can put that together, man. Let's get the turntables. So we go to Radio Shack and get the equipment. Back when Radio Shack was still around.
Oh, yeah. I missed that.
Yeah, me too. Circuit City, Radio Shack.
Yeah.
One of my favorite places.
Good old days.
Yeah.
Wrapping up here, as far as like the latest in technology and AI, you using any of that stuff? Do you need to?
A little bit, not much. It gives me ideas sometimes for scripts and commercials, and it gives me ideas on shows to do. Like I'm coming out with a show, and AI kind of gave it to me that I was AI, whatever you are, whatever you're called. I have an old school station, but I also want to appeal to the young generation as well. What kind of a name of a show can I do, and the concept of one? And it came up with a show called the Generation Gap.
I love it.
And I'm like, I should do that. Comparing, like, hey. I go to my son and I go, we had Google back in the day when I was a kid too. It's called the library.
Yep.
I didn't know if you know that. And he's like, yeah, Dad. And I go, we have protein shakes back in the day too. It's called a steak. And he laughs at me all the time. But yeah,
Dad, you're old.
Yeah, I get that all the time.
Yeah, same here.
And so yeah, I love comparing the generations and the music styles and the way they live back in the day, and it's kind of funny. Yeah. We used to have to roll up the windows.
Yep.
Yeah, not anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, everything's power.
You used to get up and turn the TV channels.
Yeah, don't have to work for anything. Our kids are lucky; they don't realize it. Speaking of your kids, any of them have desire to be a DJ? I know your son did one of my parties.
He
Is
did.
That something he sees himself doing?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Nah. He's cool. He loves doing it, and it's he has fun with it, but he's not passionate or dedicated.
Yeah.
He's studying.
You see that happen a lot with kids. Either they just don't want to be what their parents are, or they've had a natural thing to want to do it all their life.
Correct.
So that's kind of how that happens.
And I don't
can't
push
see my
the
kids want to do what I do.
Yeah, it's hard work, man. But hard work has rewards.
Yes, high risk, high reward. That's part of this podcast. Why I'm doing it is because everyone that's on here, such as yourself, are doing things out of the norm. You're not really You're not working for 9 to 5 for somebody else. You're your own guy. You're your own business. And I try to push entrepreneurship to people.
Yes.
I'm trying to teach my sons about it because that's the best life. You pick your days for the most part. You pick your hours. You pick your clients, and there's nothing like it. But it is high risk, high reward.
But you got to hustle hard if you want more.
Right.
So you could choose. Like, okay, December's a hot month for me.
Yep.
A lot of holiday parties. So I know I'm going to be putting it in. I'm going to grind hard there. So I tell everybody, leave me alone. No vacations, no nothing. I need to put it all down in December because it's gonna last me for a payoff.
Yep.
So and I tell my wife, like, there's a story. I went to Vegas one time and I was gambling, and I put I'm next to this guy from Texas. He has a big hat, chewing tobacco and all that stuff. And I put in like whatever, $100, and I won. So I was like, oh, okay. So 200. So I was like, all right. So I put in 150, and I won. So I'm 300. Oh, So now I'm up, and then I won again. So I said, you know something, the whole 500, I put it all up in there, and I lost. So then, so I get my other chips, and I'm like, $20, right, or $10. So the Texan looks at me and goes, boy, scared money don't win shit. You need to keep going. You were winning there for a while. The percentages are good. Don't be timid. Get in there, get that risk. Put it in there, son. And I was like, that's a good little lesson. That if you let fear control your methods, you ain't gonna win shit.
Yeah, and then if you let fear control it and you don't do it, then you will live with that regret.
Correct. And so so I bet big and
it paid off.
It paid off.
How many decades now, or how many years have you been DJing? I don't think I asked that.
Well, DJing is a loose term. Radio, I started in 88. DJing, 83, 84.
Okay.
I got pictures of DJing a party when I was in high school. I graduated in 86, so it was 84, 83, somewhere around there. That's when I started.
Okay.
We would go to a hotel room. We go to a hotel and rent out their ballroom. First, we started in house parties, obviously, like everybody else. But when we really took it serious was we go to a Holiday Inn or something. And back then, it was you didn't need insurance, you didn't need anything. They just said, give me $100 and you can rent the whole ballroom.
Yep.
So we would rent the ballroom. And then back then, we were really big into breaking and hip hop and all that, graffiti artists. And all. So we had a couple of graffiti guys drop a flyer, and we'd pass it in the school. And we'd get 100 people, 50 people to come out, pay $1 to get in and dance all night. Then we started getting more creative and taking that money and reinvesting it to more equipment, bigger equipment. And then we started passing out flyers in all the high schools and as many as we can get in the area. And now we're up to 500, 600, 700 people at a party. And so now we went to everywhere in high school. And now we got up to 800 people at a huge ballroom.
Wow.
And we're selling sodas and selling shirts and stuff, and we graffitied up. And so we're doing real good. But the problem was the gangs and the fights and even a shootout.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a shootout at one. I almost got hit. I mean, it was terrible. So one of my friends did, but it was in the leg, and he was fine, thank God. But so at that time, when that happened, my parents didn't. Okay, my parents were complete immigrants and completely ignorant of anything that we were doing. They had no idea. They thought we were going to movie night or something, watching something. They had no idea what this was. They don't speak English. They're straight from Cuba. They don't know. And so when the shootout happened, my brother and I were like, we got to give this up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be responsible for somebody's death or something like that. So we were about to just forget it. I was going to go back to cooking at the Olive Garden and my brother working in a warehouse. And that was good. That was going to be our career. But right at that moment when we started selling our stuff and never going to be a DJ again, a breakdance promoter that hired us to breakdance at Disney and a couple of the parks bought a nightclub downtown in Orlando. And he said, yo, you should bring your 800 people to my nightclub. And so we thought, man, that might be a good idea. Let him take on the liability. We're not going to make as much money, but at least we won't be liable for it. That's his problem. He's in charge of security. So as we did that, now we're at like 1,000, 1,200 kids in this one area club in downtown Orlando.
What was it called?
It was called the Orlando Palladium.
Okay.
And, a twist of fate, however you want to call it, karma, I don't know. Right at that time, when we were having 1,200 kids saying the roof is on fire, we don't need no water, all that shit was going down. Power 96 bought that radio station, 102 Jams. And we called the station. We went to Circuit City and made these little business cards to try and look professional as a teenager. And it was terrible, but it was something. And we called the radio. I called the radio and invited them to the club. Look, you guys are new here. Why don't you come down to a club that plays your music? Man, I had no idea that he brought everybody, the program director, assistant program director, music director, sales staff. I mean, there was like 15 people that came from the station and we're sitting on the balcony seats behind us while we were. Now remember, we were breakdancing. We're acrobats as well. Windmill and backflips. And my brother and I were on. He's on 2 turntables. I'm on 2 turntables, and he's side backflips. Boom. We're on the mic. Whoa! And we're scratching it up. And he's scratching it up, and we're doing it. And these guys are like, "Oh my God, these twins are freaking amazing!" And like, we just got here. We don't even have turntables at the radio. We're thinking about putting on a mix show on the weekends. You mind bringing your turntables up and doing a mix show for us, and we'll show you what to play and stuff like that. And that's how we got into radio.
Wow.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is you didn't give up, and you almost did. You didn't give up, and then the magic happened.
Yeah. We've been in broadcasting since '88, but I've never went to school for broadcasting. Never even thought about being a radio broadcaster.
Street smarts, man. I'm telling you,
Just
degrees and all that stuff.
Opportunity.
They're not as big as what I used to think they were back in the day. I really don't.
I tell people all the time, because they go, "Oh, you're so lucky, you're so this and this and that." And I go, "Well, luck, I guess that's the term, but you were at the right place, right time, Rich." I'm like, everybody gets many right places and right times.
Just whether you recognize it and then you move forward with it.
Right. It's right place.
We're all lucky every day.
Right time. But you forgot the third one, being prepared for that right place and right time. If you're prepared, then you got it.
Yep.
You save money. Somebody comes along and says, "Man, I'm giving away this mansion for $3. If you don't have $3, you miss that opportunity.
Someone else is going to be lucky.
Someone else is going to get. I'm giving away this Bentley for half price. If you don't have the money, you won't be able to take advantage of it. So you have to be prepared for the opportunities that do come.
That's important. Last question. The podcast is called The Driven Agenda. What is it that keeps you driven, where you've got kids, you've got a grandkid now, wife, multiple jobs, businesses?
Absolutely.
What keeps you driven?
Everything you just said.
Got no choice now, huh?
I got no choice. I have 6 reasons why. And that's my daughter, Alexis, my firstborn, my son, Christian.
Alexis is absolutely amazing, by the way.
The
I briefly met all the other kids, but I know her very well.
Yeah.
And she's got her head on her shoulders, and I'm just proud to see her journey. And so it's a testament to your parenting.
She got her master's. Anyways, Alexis, Christian, Richie Jr., Mason, and Layla. And of course, Alexis, my daughter, gave birth to my grandson, Dominic. Those are the reasons why I get up every morning.
And your wife.
Yes.
But I know. Our kids definitely were there for our kids.
She's the ringleader.
The wives already know that, though.
Yeah, no,
but they want you to say it.
And of course, my lovely wife. I love you so much.
We love our wives.
But yeah, so he, all my kids, my wife, my family, my mom and dad, everything they instilled in me, the work ethic, the pride, and the standards that you need to live up to, and I just want to make not only my parents proud, but hopefully provide a stable environment so that my kids not only can thrive, but they can also represent themselves as good human beings in the world and do positive and good things in the world.
Well, I love it. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate your time, as always, and for coming over here.
Absolutely.
And,
everybody, vote for Shannon. Shannon Sagan for president.
Hell no. Hell no.
I love the show.
Man.
Thank you again, man.
Yep.